way to restore heat and water supplies. All right, well, let's start the top focus on this edition of the World Report. U.S. President Donald Trump has said that the U.S. could oversee Venezuela and control its oil revenues for an extended period. Trump has described plans to rebuild Venezuela's economy through oil production, saying the country would receive much-needed funds while the U.S. manages its resources. Trump also spoke with Colombia's President Gustavo Petro in what appeared to ease earlier threats of U.S. military action against the country. The president is scheduled to meet with top U.S. oil companies to discuss increasing Venezuela's oil production and restoring its energy sector. Trump's actions in Venezuela have raised concerns among some U.S. lawmakers, with the Senate considering measures to limit further military involvement without congressional approval. Joining me now in this discussion is Andrew Latham, who's an international affairs expert, and he joins us from Minneapolis. Andrew, thanks very much for joining us in this discussion. What's your foresight of how long this U.S. control of Venezuela is going to be, and when's the earliest possible that elections could be held in Venezuela?
Well, first of all, it needs to be said that Donald Trump misspeaks when he uses words like oversight and control. The United States does not control Venezuelan territory, the bureaucracy, the security forces, the courts, the state oil company. It controls none of it. And it doesn't even exercise oversight in the way that the U.S. Congress exercises oversight over the executive branch, for example, making sure that they're doing their job and punishing them if they don't. There is no control. Therefore, there is no oversight, unless oversight simply means keeping an eye on somebody or something. All that the U.S. has is leverage in terms of sanctions. And that's likely to persist as long as the government in Venezuela is not doing pretty much exactly what Donald Trump wants it to do in terms of access to the oil market, in terms of expelling Russian and Chinese advisors and things like that. And probably until there's an election, which under Venezuelan law has to happen sooner rather than later, now that President Maduro is quote-unquote incapacitated. I don't imagine that this oversight, first of all, it doesn't exist as oversight, but American leverage and pressure will continue unless and until the sitting president of Venezuela begins to do the things that he wants them to do.
Andrew, and how is this oversight, as he says, and we contest, of Trump going to really be? How does he plan to work with the interim leadership in Venezuela? Will they be cooperating? What's Trump's plan B if that doesn't happen?
Yeah, I think you've characterized it accurately there. I think that Trump does want to work with Rodriguez, which is why he has been disrespecting the Nobel Prize winning Maria Machado. He doesn't want her on the scene because he's currying favor with President Delcy Rodriguez. Now, her ability to deliver what he wants is going to be circumscribed or limited by the other factions within that Chavista party, the dominant socialist party within Venezuela. There are those, like the Minister of Justice, Cabello, who are diehards, who really don't want to give an inch to the United States. And then there are others who are willing to make some compromises with respect to the oil industry and with respect to China and Iran and Russia and their influence in the country. So it depends to a large extent how deft and how well she can navigate those cross currents. If she can remain in power, marginalize the anti-U.S. Chavista faction, deliver much of what Donald Trump wants, then he'll continue to work with her. If she's removed from office or she proves to be ineffective, then we can see U.S. pressure being dialed up even more.
All right, sure. Andrew, thanks for your comments and assessment, but do continue to stay on with me as we move ahead.